Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to our commissioner meeting this morning, this Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. And then we'll go ahead. Can I get, first let me see, is there any public input on the agenda itself? Just the lineup? Okay, if not, can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Otten.
Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, we call the roll, please.
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Otten?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Putnam?
Yes.
Landine?
Yes. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Any public input on the consent agenda this morning? All right. If not, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Got a second from Commissioner Aaron's. If there's no discussion, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Otten?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Putnam?
Yes.
Landine?
Yes. Motion carries. Moving on to regular business, item 1 on our agenda. Our treasurer's going to tee that up for us. Good morning, Franny.
Good morning, Commissioners. I am just here to let you know that with this new 605 drive system we have gotten for Motor V, we are now needing to balance all of our stuff at the end of the day. So I am going to stop doing title transfers and new titles at 4:30. We will still be open until 5 to do renewals and tax process payments.
Franny, is your speaker on?
I think so.
No, it isn't.
How about now?
What's the drive program? Can you just explain that a little bit?
So 605 Drive is the new motor vehicle system. It replaced SD cars on February 17th. But with this new system, we are no longer able to balance in the morning and fix any issues that were happening. So we have to do all that at night.
Okay, so you're just cutting off, if somebody's in line right at 4:30, are they going to be able to get help?
Yep, we'll still help them with their title transfer. It's just only title transfers after 4:30. We will
Okay.
not do them that day.
All right. Anybody
got a
have any
question.
questions for
Yeah,
staff?
I've got a question. Is it fully implemented now?
No, I will be, the system?
Yeah.
Yep, the system is fully implemented as of February 17th. I plan on changing this action as of April 1st, so we can post it on the website, at the front door, and the sheriff's Facebook page to make people aware.
All right, thank you. Any public input on this agenda item? All right, if not, we'll move on to our next agenda item. Got board discussion and possible action authorizing the chair to sign JLG proposal for redesign. Good morning, Drew.
Good morning, Drew DeGroat from the State's Attorney's Office. When we were going through some of the plans, I brought it to the chair's attention. We were talking about office space for the State's Attorney's Office investigators. We are pretty much at capacity as we move into the State's Attorney's Office when we move out there. So approached the chair about seeking to redesign, get more office space. I can pull up kind of some of our current what we're talking about redesigning here. You can see the current office space. These office areas aren't actually utilized by our office. That'd be IT, audio, video, and things like that. So it'd be redesigned to utilize this shell space that's open right next to our office and possibly some of this area right here. Again, it'd allow for future expansion. For the State's Attorney's Office, we would have 1 or 2 open offices once we move out there, but there'd be no room for future expansion once we have a few more attorneys. And you'll see from our presentation coming up here in the next meeting from the State's Attorney's Office that we project a continued growth of 5% in caseload every year. So there'll be continued growth in the State's Attorney's Office. If we want to go back to the JLG form here. It would include an update to seek out 6 additional attorney offices, a space for possibly 4 investigators. The reason why the investigators, right now, we have 2.5, we have 1 part-time. With right now current technology, it's just continued update. We have ring cameras at crimes. I mean, the investigators are constantly busy, and the need to growth is there. So for the overall proposal that was presented to us, it would be $63,000. This is where the chair said this, once you get the proposal presented to the full board for discussion and possible action, and get the full board's input on an item such as this. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
Does anybody have any questions for Drew?
Drew, could you pull that picture up? Just now, did you point your finger at that shell space that's intended to be used as a courtroom?
Right here, yes.
Yeah, so would this plan eat into the courtroom?
A little bit, and so the plan would be to, right here, it has future judges' chambers already that were supposed to be in the works. So what it'd do is the plan would expand upon instead of just having these as shell space, that it'd actually finish off those judges' chambers. So
Yeah, but I gotta interrupt. The
Okay.
plan is for the 3rd floor to be full of state's attorney at some point. And then when we run out of room, when future generations run out of room, they can redesign that and use it for courtroom space.
Yeah.
That was the original plan.
right, because this will remain open under any redesign right now.
Correct.
For now, yeah, this
So-
future courtroom.
Just a question about the quote-unquote original plan. The original plan intended that as a courtroom, did it not?
Correct.
Okay. So the original plan was not to eat into it with state's attorney's space.
That's not correct.
It was, I mean, I sat on the committee.
That's
Yeah.
not correct, though.
Okay,
I
well.
defer to the commissioner. I
Yeah.
guess I wasn't here when the original plan was
I
drawn
mean,
up, so-
because, is there another courtroom available?
Yes.
Okay, and so is that shell space, or is
There's
that?
actual several
Okay.
other courtrooms
Okay.
that are available on the other floors that are just basically being left as like open multi-purpose rooms. So the original plan was that the state's attorney would eventually take over the whole floor. And then when new courtroom space was needed, we understood that we would have to redesign this floor at some point. And that's years and years down the road. So we aren't even building out one of the other courtrooms that's available to us right now. So that was the plan, that at some point, the state's attorney's office would have to move out to accommodate future courtrooms and be redesigned. That was the original plan.
Well, the original plan was 4 by 2, right? 4 courtrooms by 2 extra in the future?
Yes.
Right. So, next question I have is, do the investigators, I think it's request for 4 investigators?
Just for office space for
Yeah.
4, so it'd be cubicle space for investigators.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't we just like spend no money and continue to use the room upstairs there?
So right now, the investigators, yeah, and that could be a possibility. Right now, our investigators are in the Detective Bureau with the Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office has notified us that by the end of the year, they'd like them out of that space because they're running out of room in their Detective Bureau. So we'll need to find some space for about a year for them to go. But yeah, when the State's Attorney's Office leaves this facility, there could be room for investigators to stay here too. Yeah, that could be a possibility.
Okay.
Ideally, it's nice to have them in the same office for our attorneys to consult with them, do evidence review, whatever they need to do with the investigators.
Thank you.
Any other questions? for
Madam
Drew?
Chair,
Go ahead.
if you looked at this design, if I understand this particular area that Drew has pointed out was intended for possible expansion at some time in the future, correct?
Correct.
And that future happens to be now, right? I mean, because of if you're overcrowded already, and you've got the luxury of probably redesigning something that at some point in time in the future, whether it's 2, 3, 4 years from now, the future just hit us right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and the reason why the state's attorney thought it was prudent to bring it now is because it's going to be cheaper now
Now.
with contractors
Yes.
on site, with our engineers already, they're already under retainer, so it'd be cheaper instead of having to go out for bid for some of these things or disrupt office work in the future. We thought it'd be prudent to bring it up now.
Which makes sense. I mean, we don't want to spend, no one wants to spend any more money on anything if they don't have. But on the good side, aren't we under budget? And some of our projections, Madam Chair, have come in under our original budget line?
That's correct. I don't have those numbers here with me, but when we originally cut back the state's attorney's office build out, it was to see if we could be under that GMP number. So we did downsize that space to a certain extent. And then now we're able to add back in that future growth space. And so that's what this is,
Okay.
is designed to do.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, any public input on this agenda item?
Good morning, Scott Montgomery, Fairview. My understanding, that's about 60 some odd $1,000 just for engineering this, is that correct?
That's correct.
How much are we gonna spend to do it? I mean, we were led to believe that you were gonna put 4 courtrooms and then there was gonna be space for 2 more courtrooms, and now we're gonna build a state's attorney's office, and then when it gets full of state's attorneys, we're gonna boot them out of there. Where are they going? I'm a little confused here. Sounds like we're getting a different story than what we had in the beginning. I mean, we got office space here. I mean, when they vacate this place, we're gonna have 3 courtrooms that they can move into. Why would we not utilize those? Sure, it would be nice they're all together, but, I mean, there's phones, there's computers, there's all kinds of options here. But I mean, it's 63,000 just for the engineering. I remember not too recently, we bought a new desk, and it was between $6,000 and $7,000. So how much money are we gonna spend for this thing by the time we're done? That's what I would like to know. For 60,000 just for the engineering, what's it gonna cost us? Anybody got any answers, or we're just gonna keep throwing money at it? I guess not.
All right, with that, if, at a board discussion, I'd consider a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Got a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Madam Chair, do we have some estimates on what the cost may be?
We don't. Once they do the build out, then we'll get an estimate from Henry Carlson, depending on the redesign. So those aren't numbers that we have right now. I do recall coming in here as a commissioner and being criticized about when this particular building opened, it was already too small. And so that was a criticism. So I would hate to have all the contractors go home at the end of the day, and then we have to rebid, call them all back to do what we need to do here, which is what's proposed for this redesign. It's not going to be any less expensive in the future, and I don't expect that Lincoln County is going to stop growing. So if we're going to do it, this would be the time to do it. At least this would be the financially responsible time to do it. Any further discussion?
I think we have space available in this courthouse right now that we can continue to use for free. We're in a tight budget year. We're going to continue to be in tight budget years. Governor Roden just signed Senate Bill 216. It's going to reduce the amount of revenue that counties have available to them to spend. The South Dakota County of Association said as much. It's going to impact this county. I understand that this money probably will be coming from the bond, but every dollar that we don't use goes back to the taxpayer. And if we didn't have space available, I'd be more than willing to consider this. But from a regular person's point of view, they're gonna say, you've got that space you're already working out of, why not just use it? And so I'm a no vote on this, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I concur with what he just said. Every time you change something in the middle of the horse race, it gets to be very much more expensive, so we need to stick with the plan.
Madam Chair, as I understand this, it's not popular to have to vote, and it's nice to be able to have all this, but there's a couple of things you got to take into consideration here. One of those is growth, which, we're not going backwards in this county anyway. The other part is, I do recognize, Commissioner Aaron's, the long-run implication of the SB 216, which concerns me, which I think we will have to vet out. But on the other hand, with this particular motion, we are spending money that we would spend at some point in time anyway. Because whether we do it now, or whether we do it a year from now, or 2 years from now, which, as prices increase, it just seems to me that we have done the legwork to begin with, then we will look at the cost, then we will look at all that remodel. But I'm in favor of getting an idea on what this thing would cost at now as opposed to in the future. So I'm a yes vote.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
I'd call the question, Madam Chair.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, Alicia, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
No.
Otten,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Putnam,
No,
Landine.
Yes. Motion carries. All right, now we have Children's Home Society here. Good morning.
Thank you.
Sometimes it gets hard to see on the phone.
Thanks.
got another one?
Great, thank you.
Good morning. I'm Kate Fellmeyer. I'm the Program Director for Children's Home Shelter for Family Safety. Formerly it was Children's Inn and better known as. So we're just coming in front of you today to share a little about what we do with the dollars that you provide us. So we are in our new facility now for just over 2 years. And along with that, we've continued all of our services. They've just become bigger. We've had more people. So we have 108 beds. We've already increased the size from 96 to 108, and 38 bedrooms. When someone comes to our shelter, they receive everything that they need. So if they come in with just the clothes on their back, we have clothes, we have hygiene items, we provide meals and snacks. We provide transportation for anything that they need to improve their life. So if it's to get to work or drop the kids off to daycare and get to work or go to the courthouse, get their birth certificate, job seeking, that type of stuff. And then we also have case management. So they meet with their case managers at least once a week, and they just create their goals, and the case managers help them through those hurdles. So they have that person, and if they want to continue it after they stay with us, they can. And then we have outreach advocacy and our crisis advocacy. So our outreach advocate goes to our 5 counties. So Lincoln County is one of those, and assists in protection order hearings and civil matters. And we can go as a support for those criminal matters, but we're not legally trained. So we attend those hearings and we assist with writing those protection orders as well. We have 3 counselors. All of our counseling is free, along with the rest of our services. And then our crisis intervention services, phone calls, and in person. So this slide is just to show you the increase. We've steadily just been increasing over the years. These are just Lincoln County numbers, so we've had a 30% increase from last year, or from 2023 to 2024. And then this is our shelter intakes. So that's the number of people that are coming into the shelter. So you can see 10 years ago, Lincoln County had about 5, and now we're at 91 per year of individuals. So that's quite a big increase that we've seen. With that growth, that's happened because we've gotten bigger, not just because Lincoln County's gotten bigger, but we've offered more services, we have more capacity. And then this is another look at that with our shelter days, is how many days we served individuals. So each individual, if they stayed for 15 days, would count towards 15 days towards this number. So that's also a steady increase. These are just some outcomes that we monitor. So we want people to be aware of their resources. That helps them succeed better when we're not helping them. And then if they have continued safety, they're more likely to be able to be successful and not return. So those have increased significantly. And then because domestic violence and homelessness do go hand in hand, if you have to leave your home suddenly because of a domestic violence situation, you are suddenly homeless as well, which can be quite the shock. So 38% of domestic violence victims will be considered homeless, and then 90% of homeless women experience sexual or physical violence at some point in their lives. So they really do go quite hand in hand. So our length of stay has, our average that people stay now is 20 days. I will clarify that when people come in, we offer 30 days stay. So some people just choose to leave. They might return. Hopefully they'll be successful. That's the goal. But right now, the average is 20 days. If someone's staying that 30 days, they hit 30 days and they're first and foremost have safety concerns, we're going to continue their stay. And if they're working towards a goal, they're about to get into an apartment, that type of thing, we would also continue their stay so that they don't have to transfer multiple times. So this is kind of what a average, I'd say. There's not really a lot of typical in crisis work. But so in our first few days, we want people to just get acclimated, process what's happened. We're not jumping right in with them, so we're just a lot of basic needs being met. And then they get to meet with their case manager, identify all of the things that they need on day 3, and that the examples are all there, from IDs to protection orders. And then from there, they continue working with their case manager on all those needs. We advocate with the apartments, if they need to relocate out of the area, that type of thing. And the goal is to have successful departure by day 30. So this is a breakdown of our budget. 78% of our budget is charitable raising, so we do quite a bit of that. Our philanthropists are very good. And then you can see the county funding there is just over 2%. And then this is a little breakdown of the cost per day for running our program. And so in 2024, we're just over $12,000. So that's been a steady increase with growth and in the county and in our facility itself. Just want to say thank you for listening. Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions?
Do you have, I've not been there, do you have 24/7 security, I'm assuming?
So we're always staffed, 24/7, 365. We never close. And we are a locked facility from the outside in. And we have cameras that record outside the facility all the time. Yep.
Other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Next, we have our planning and zoning presentation. Morning, Toby.
Good morning, Toby Brown, representing County Planning. I appreciate this opportunity to come before this morning, just talk about the department, a little bit about what we've done over the last year and what we're looking forward to in the future too. So a little bit about the Planning and Zoning Department. In the 1970s, the policymakers of the county, the Board of Commissioners, they adopted the county's first comprehensive plan. With that, after that, they adopted the first zoning regulation. They also adopted the first subdivision regulation, building code, and then throughout the years, they've amended, added to those regulations. They've also adopted nuisance regulations. With that, they created a Planning and Zoning Department for the county. The Planning and Zoning Department is charged with administering and enforcing these laws that have been passed by the policymakers of the Board of Commissioners. A little over 300 pages of laws that this board has adopted, and that's not double or single spaced, that's without spacing. So how do we go about administering these regulations or these laws? Primarily, that's through review and approving of permitting and applications. The primary one would be the building zoning permits, which everyone's familiar with. If you're going to build anything, take anything down, modify anything, you do require a permit to do that through the Planning and Zoning Department. That typically is a by right type activity, meaning that the county's already adopted the regulations or stipulations for those permits. So if an individual comes in and they meet those requirements, the staff approves those applications. No discretion with those applications. No public hearings, no notification other than after the fact with it. After those permits have been issued, we go above and beyond that. We do inspections of construction. And again, this permitting is primarily for life safety type issues. We make sure that the code that's been adopted by the county, the plans that are being proposed by the landowner meet those requirements. We also ensure that they're inspected. We typically try to get, when we receive a permit, we try to get within 48 hours back to those applicants to make sure that we address any concerns they might have. But it typically takes about 5 days to get through the approval process with it. The next process is really an application type process, so change of zones, what goes to you guys, text amendments of the zoning regulations or the laws goes to you guys, as well as preliminary development plans. Same process for staff. We receive applications, we review applications for the requirements, but this next step is really a process that's governed by state law and by your ordinances. It does require that it does have a public hearing, notification of that public hearing, and then approval by the boards. With these typically types of items, it has to go through the Planning Commission, which is your 7-member appointed citizen advisory board, as well as you as the Board of Commissioners. Those items are generally policy type decisions, so there's more discretion at your level than there is at the staff level with it. I'd also point out there too is that, again, this process is the same except with the public hearing process. State law does require that we notify adjacent properties. The county goes above and beyond that, so adjacent properties would typically be the 4 corners of the property. The county goes above and beyond that. We notify within 500 feet of the property that's petitioned for those changes. The other item would be conditional uses, which the public is primarily familiar with. By ordinance, you've delegated the authorization to approve conditional uses after a public hearing to the Planning Commission. There's a process for it to be appealed by any individual to you as the Board of Commissioners, but typically the majority of those does get approved by the Planning Commission. The only change for staff is no change for staff. We receive applications, we review applications. The difference is with the public hearing and then with the approval process. State law does not require that we notify by mail adjacent properties. The county does. The county goes above and beyond state law requirements. We notify in writing of the public hearing, the date, the time of the public hearing within 500 feet of the specific property. Or if it's a K4 or a wind tower, we notify within 1 mile of that property. The other responsibility that the Planning and Zoning Department has is the nuisance enforcement or code enforcement. This is typically a civil or criminal process. By ordinance, we have the right through the state's attorney's office to charge anyone civil and criminally if they're not abiding by the laws of the county. We are complaint-based though for this process. So we're not policing, the department doesn't police nuisances or zoning violations. We require that there be a complaint filed. That complaint form is available on our webpage. With a complaint, then we do an inspection. We typically work with the property owner for a compliance period, and then we do a re-inspection within that compliance period. What I'll say is this, is that we do resolve every complaint that we receive in the department. What I tell the people that complain to us, though, it's not going to get resolved in a day or two. Sometimes it takes a significant amount of time. Because what we're dealing with is we're trying to achieve compliance. We're trying to get the property owner to abide by the regulations. We have charged people criminally in this county. We have charged people civilly in this county, and I envision we'll continue to do that. The one thing that we've never done in this county is do an abatement type enforcement activity. That would require you to give our budget additionally more money. I would guess in most cases that we're dealing with, $1 million wouldn't be enough to abate some of the problems that we have on individual properties. But we do work with people till we make sure that we get it resolved. It just takes a little bit longer than we would like to have, than I'd like to say we can get. A little bit about 2024, and I won't go through every one of these slides, but I'll just tell you a little bit is that if you recall in 2023, I told you that was the best year that Lincoln County ever had. It's now the second best year that Lincoln County ever had because last year, 2024, was the best year in terms of permitting and in terms of valuation that we've ever had. A little bit of things, though, that I think I would point out is that, as this slide shows, is that we did have a decrease in the overall non-residential permits. That's our ag, that's our commercial, that's our industrial permits. And I would say, really, from the trends, what I can see is the biggest issue we have we just don't have the land available for commercial industrial development. We're out of land. So we need to look at some of those issues, and I think the new comprehensive plans addresses some of those things. The other thing that I would say is that rezones, we were down in rezones last year. I'd attribute that to one thing, is that the people knew that we were adopting a new comprehensive plan, and they all said we've got a better shot under the new comprehensive plan than we do under the old comprehensive plan. So right now, we're in the process of working with double what that number is right now for applications to bring forward to you guys for changes of zones and changes of development. A little bit about expectations for 2025. So on December 24th, you're well aware that you adopted a new comprehensive plan for the county, for the unincorporated area of the county. So what I like to say to the Planning Commission, I'll tell to you, is the goal, the visioning, the policy making, the thinking stopped on December 24th. Really, the next step is to implement that comprehensive plan. And again, with the implementation of it, that's following the comprehensive plan. It's making sure that the decisions we make are consistent with what that policy is. So again, you either have a choice, you either follow it or you don't follow it. It's easier to follow it, and it's much more fiscally responsible to follow it down the road as well, too. But with that implementation, the first step that we're going to take a look at is the update of the zoning regulations, which is our policy, our laws. So we need to make sure that that's consistent with our new goals and policies, but we also need to, there's also some things that we just need to take a look at to make sure that it's consistent with what the board wants to proceed with. Another item that we're taking a look at is currently we have adopted the 2018 International Building Code, International Residential Code. That there's an international council International Code Council that puts those together. They review and update those every 3 years. The current one will be the 2020 or 2024. The only way we can adopt the 2024 is if the legislature passes a law to allow that. They currently only allow adoption of the 2021. They've not taken that up the last two sessions. My guess is I don't think they're going to, because there's a strong opposition from the building community as far as the cost requirements. But I would recommend that we take a look at adopting the 2021. I typically recommend that we wait in between those two codes just for cost savings and things like that, and change of the codes. But I think we need to get updated the 2021. With that, I'd recommend too that we should take a look at adopting property maintenance code, which would then would override our current nuisance ordinances. But we're urbanizing fastly as a county. We need to take a look at some of those regulations. The other thing that would be useful with the property maintenance code to override the nuisance code would be is there's an appeals process in there. So it would allow an individual property owner to appeal our staff determination instead of having to go through the court process and some of those things. It would streamline it, make it more efficient for some of those issues. The other thing we need to take a look at is with the growth and development that we have in the county. I think we need to make sure that our regulations as far as land development are consistent with what our municipalities have, so that when these developments are being annexed, that they're consistent with what the cities have in place. Number 5, again, is review and update the applicable applications and forms. And I'd say we're a step ahead of there. We just did that. We updated and posted it yesterday. So if you go to the website, we've updated all of the application forms. Proud to say that they're all one-pagers. So I think it's, we as government, if we can't get past what we need in more than one page, then we're probably not doing what we need to do. So all those applications have been updated, they're all fillable. You don't need to come down here to fill out an application for your, for building permits or applications. You can do all online and you can forward it to us. Board development policies. So as you're aware, we do have a citizen-appointed advisory planning commission, which you appoint. I think with the challenges that we're facing is that it'd be good to have some consistent policies between the boards. You have more than just planning commission boards, you have multiple boards. But board development and kind of consistent policies would be good across all boards that we have in the county. And then, you know, one of the things we haven't updated the fee schedule since 2009. Nobody wants to talk about updating fees and schedules. Me less than anybody. But what I don't want to see is that typically when you jump fees instead of just incrementally jumping fees, it just hits people more than if you're consistent with what it is. I am on the budget advisory committee, and one of the things that we recommend is that the county board adopt an annual fee resolution, which would be all the fees of the county, to make sure that those are just taking, jumps with cost of living and things like that. And then the last thing is something that we're going to do this spring. I'll work with Commissioner Otten, who's our representative on the Planning Commission, to have a Planning and Zoning 101 night. And really the intent of that is to have non-agenda items, but just have a session where we invite the public to come in, just to ask us questions about planning and zoning, or if you're thinking of building something this year, walk you through the process, answer some questions there. One of the things that I always, I come to your meetings, I come to the Planning Commission meetings, and I think one of the things that's frustrating for me is, when we have public comment, I think the public asks questions, but really it's, under state law, we're really just supposed to listen to their comments. But I do think a lot of the times they just ask questions. So this night would be an opportunity for people to come and just generally ask questions about how does this work or what does this mean, as opposed to, and then reserving the meetings or the business items for more or less just comments as opposed to question and answer sessions. So a little bit about 2026, which is kind of what we're working on right now for the budget year next year. Looking at department staffing needs. So the planning and zoning department is 4 individuals. We have a planner, we have 2 building inspectors / code enforcement officers. Each of those individuals, and myself, and each of those individuals have set specific duties. But what we're seeing is, I definitely say we're thin in that, and in staffing in the department. The challenges we have those with that growth and with that development, it's increasing and becoming more complex in what we're dealing with. And the one concern that I always have, that we should always have with government, is that to make sure that we're responsive, customer service, that we're responsive to the citizens' needs. And so I think we are, but we're stretched thin. It's good to make sure that, and the stuff that we're dealing with is that if we're holding stuff up, and most people say if you're holding stuff up more than 1 day or 2, that's costing money, because that's preventing people from building something and constructing what they need to construct. And then department capital asset needs. Within a year, this whole building is going to change from a courthouse to an administrative building. We're one of the only departments upstairs, and I know you've all been up there, but we don't have a customer service window. And I think a customer service window is, it's good for the customers that come up to make sure that they're being serviced and those different types of things. But it's also just safety of staff and safety of those individuals as well. So I'd like to take a look at kind of reformatting some of the area up there to try to get a customer service window. The last big kind of capital asset need is that we need to probably take a look at replacing the county staff vehicle, getting a little bit of miles on it and things like that. And that vehicle is out, all day long, doing inspections and doing different types of activities. And the third thing is really, in 1971, the county adopted its first and only capital improvement plan. And I think, it really, our department is really, guided with the growth and development, the regulation, the policy making of it. One of the most important policies, and I've said this to you guys repeatedly, is your capital improvement plan. That really tells the public what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I think more than ever, the county needs to take a look at making sure that we have that in place. And so I'd be willing to coordinate that through our department to kind of take a look at implementing or undertaking that with it. But with that, I'd speak for our department, appreciate everything that the County Board of Commissioners does for us, provides us an opportunity to serve our citizens in a way that I think the services we provide are very unique and very beneficial for citizens. I also think that the process that we put together as far as streamlining it and allowing it, I think speeds up development and makes Lincoln County an attractive place for people to pursue development. So with that, Madam Chair, I'll turn it back to you. Answer any questions that you might have for me.
Thank you, Toby. Any of the commissioners have questions for Toby?
Toby, thanks for the presentation, appreciate it. I want to make sure I understood, I think you made a comment early on in your presentation, and please correct me if I'm wrong. Did you make the statement something to the effect that we're running out of or don't have available commercial and industrial land? Could you expand on that?
Yeah, I think that build-ready sites that are zoned commercial or industrial, we're lacking those spots right now.
And that could be remedied, though, right, from a conversion from ag to commercial industrial?
That's the hope, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would that process look like?
They just have to submit a rezone. But we did have a couple rezones last year which were denied by the board.
If somebody did want to take a plot of ag land, wouldn't that and convert that to industrial, commercial, depending upon where it is, doesn't that run afoul of our requirement that we want to keep as much ag land ag?
Not with our new comprehensive plan. We've
Okay.
identified the largest growth area that we've ever had in the county up north. And so we're working with a number of individuals. The challenge with commercial industrial properties, as you're aware, is that they're objectionable to surrounding property owners.
Right.
So we have to make sure that we buffer those properly and point them in the right direction where they need to be. And I think with your new comprehensive plan that you've adopted, you've given staff and the public more areas where that can be developed.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
Toby, I know that GIS is separate. Are you looking to incorporate that if staffing changes in that department? Are you looking to incorporate that into planning and zoning?
No, but I mean, that's a decision of the Board of Commissioners, but I need more staff where I'm at now, let alone taking on more functions and duties, I would say, yeah.
Other questions from the board?
Madam Chair?
Yep, go ahead.
Toby, we're a county that's probably 70-some thousand people. And your department, I just have had the pleasure of working with Toby for a long time. And how many people do we have serving 70-plus thousand people in your planning department? Four. Any idea what Pennington County has, which has probably 100,000 people? How many people they have in their department?
Double.
8, okay. I commend you publicly for all of the work you get done with 4 people. And you do that on a regular basis. And it's one of the few offices that if you call, you get right to the department head right away. And there's nobody there to answer the phone except you, Toby, so you got an awesome job, but as we continue to grow as a county, when all of these buildings start coming in, I think that the commission has to look favorably on adding a staff person for you to adequately keep ahead of the curve. Because I do think you're doing it now, but for how much longer, I question. So anyway, that's just an FYI.
Toby, do you have room in your current location for our extra staff as far as space?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. There was always a plan to have additional staff, and it was just, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Other questions? All right, if not, any public input on this agenda item?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Toby.
All right, if not, then we will go ahead and move on to our next presentation. We have our Register of Deeds. Good morning, Becky.
Good morning, Commissioners. Becky Vanderbroek, Lincoln County Register of Deeds, here today to talk to you about our Register of Deeds department. So what is the Register of Deeds? We record and archive land records, so deeds, mortgages, plats, easements, many other types of records that go against property or possibly affect property. And we also do South Dakota Vital Records, which is birth, marriage, and death certificates, and we issue marriage licenses. And then, other than doing those, we help the public find the records that they are looking for, mainly the land records, but then obviously helping with the vital records. Recap of the last couple of years. With our land documents recorded and our transfer fees. Transfer fees are $1 per thousand, and our recordings, most documents are like $30 a recording fee with some differences. Mainly our department depends on the economy and interest rates and how properties are selling is mainly how our department goes. We are a little bit moving up and down. Obviously, during COVID, there was an interest rates were very high, and then after that, it was definitely a buyer's market where the housing prices were going up. And like I said, we receive a transfer fee of $1 per thousand of those purchase prices. Our vital records. Vital records you can request from any county in South Dakota. So we don't necessarily just do Lincoln. We don't do just Lincoln County residents, and we don't just do Lincoln County things that happen in Lincoln County. So people that do live in Lincoln County can go up to Minnehaha or whatever is most convenient for them to get that record. What we accomplished in 2024, we created in our software Document Pro, we created new document names structured to create an easier for searches, mainly for the public and maybe any new employees. Mainly what we went by was codes, like mortgage was MTG, and now it's mainly mortgage, or after that, like mortgage satisfaction. It helped also with our e-recordings, so people who were e-recording knew which kind of document they wanted to do. Possibly if we were to go online, it would also help the public know what kind of document they are looking at when they're looking at a search screen. And we can always are continuing to digitize and index our historical or just older records in our software, so they are easy to find for us and the public to make everything easier and faster for everyone involved. In 2025, we will still be, we are hoping to digitize some more of our microfilm and books for better images. Some are already done, but they necessarily aren't the best images and sometimes do not format with our software the best for us to update and be able to put legal descriptions to them to find. We are also thinking of digitizing our index pages. We have index books where every book and page is put in there to be reviewed from the computer faster. So faster for our employees and faster for the people searching. Sometimes there is also certain books that are very popular, and then those books can be looked at by multiple individuals at the same time rather than having to share that one book. And then, like I said, continuing to update in our software the legal descriptions and names of the documents to be found easier. Looking forward to 2026, we will just asking probably to the ability to use the Modernization and Preservation Fund to digitize and preserve the Lincoln County records. We are continually, having to do, we obviously had a flood, we could have horrible things. We would hate for these records to be lost. Like I said, a lot of them are somewhat digitized already. Certain ones are not, or at least not possibly in microfilm, but we would just like to get almost everything that is in our office completely digitized in the best possible format that we can have. We will use, like I said, the Modernization and Preservation Fund. For people that do not know, every document that is recorded in our office, $5 of that goes to this fund. $3 stays here in our county. $2 gets sent to Sedaco, who then once a year, they disperse that to all the register of deeds in South Dakota. That is very helpful for definitely the smaller counties who do not have much as far as revenue. They're able to digitize and preserve their records, and use them obviously for other things like software and things like that. I am planning on just keeping in the budget of that fund, so if I have to do it in certain years, like over the years, then that's what I'll do, but I'll probably try to do as much as possible, while trying to stay in budget and keeping us a cushion there, so obviously we can continue to use it in the daily and monthly expenses that we use out of it now. That's it. Any questions?
Are you, Becky, are you doing the digitization? Are you doing that in-house or are you outsourcing that?
Outsourcing.
Okay.
So we met with someone and I'm yet to get an estimate, so it might be a little bit down the road. So there's a little bit in the budget right now. Obviously, there is extended money over my budget in the fund to do that. But of course, that would be having to be requested. And it just depends on, by the time we come up with the schedule and what exactly I want to get done, maybe first, and what's most important. But yes, it is an outside source. It'd be the same people that did the auditor's books a few years back. And
All right, thank you. Anybody have any questions from the board?
Have you seen any changes this year, Debbie? I mean, as far as properties or ag land, owner-occupied dwellings, multifamily, whatever?
owner-occupied dwellings and multifamilies, we don't really deal with that. I haven't really seen, we are definitely up in rev a little bit since last year. I'm hoping that the interest rates will drop here soon, and then we will definitely see some refinances going and maybe more properties being sold. But otherwise, we're pretty much continuing the same trend as last year
Okay,
so far.
thank you.
Other questions? All right, thanks, Becky.
Thank you.
Just have one question. Becky.
Go ahead.
I was making some notes here. The digitization and modernization fee, the $5 that gets charged on every document, I just want to make sure I got this right. We keep $3 and $2 of that goes somewhere else?
Yes, so,
Okay.
so $2 of each document every month, that goes to Sedaco, who then keeps it, and then once a year, they disperse that evenly throughout all the Register of Deeds of South Dakota.
Okay. That's the county association, right?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
It's the county
Thank you.
officials, yeah.
Thank you.
yeah, they're the ones that hold it.
Other questions? All right, if not, thanks, Becky.
Thank you.
Any public input on this agenda item? All right, if not, we'll move on to our next presentation. Our highway superintendent. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carter, can you get back out of this? Can you back out of this one, please? Thank you. All right. Come on. All right. Department overview for Highway Department. Okay, we're responsible for collaboration, safety, and maintenance on structures in Lincoln County. So first of all, I'll go over my staff. We have 20 full-time staff that we have in the Highway Department. 14 of them are on the crew And then from there, we have one supervisor, operations supervisor. He is responsible for daily operations of the crew. I have another person, and then we move into the office. We have an administrative assistant in the office that takes care of a lot of our bookwork and paperwork. There's the assistant highway superintendent. And again, he is assistant highway superintendent / fleet manager guy. So he takes and does a lot of the project work, takes some of that off my plate. And then also, he manages the fleet side of what we do out there, which is responsible for maintenance and upkeep, purchasing of new equipment. We also have, I do have under my department, I have one weed foreman, weed lead, for the weed department, that I have under my purview. And again, when he's not doing weeds, then he's helping out on the highway side. So it's kind of a multi-role thing. And then also we do have two summertime seasonals that we typically hire. That's May to August, September, October, kind of whenever they're around. And usually we've been trying to try to get high school kids that just graduated high school, college kids, but last few years, it's been pretty difficult to try to hire any of them on. I know last year we ended up getting some older folks, which is fine. We just, again, typically we use them for flagging, for projects that the county, we do ourselves. And then we also do have one wintertime seasonal that we do have as well, that we bring on board during the wintertime season. And typically that's November to March, February, March, April, kind of whatever the season dictates on that. We have for equipment, we have about 141 pieces of equipment, and this is all equipment, trucks, motor graders, loaders, all the attachments that go with them. So a lot of them, and we do have an issue, or we're beginning to have an issue with some of the aging on these pieces of equipment. But we've been trying the last 10, 15 years, trying to upgrade them, get rid of older stuff, and modernize how we do things. The county is responsible for just under 325 miles of road. About 285 of that is blacktop or paved asphalt roads. And we have about 45 miles of gravel roads that we're responsible for. Along with that, we have about 160 structures. Again, structures, I'm talking bridges, box culverts, and pipe. And again, these are all structures that are laid out in codified law that are 20 feet in length or longer. So that number kind of fluctuates up and down over the years. Sometimes we'll tear out an old structure and you can put in smaller pipe so it doesn't become a structure. But then on the flip side of that, we replace some structures that are not a structure, but they become a structure and then they get put on the bridge system. We collaborate with around 30 different entities, organizations that I'm responsible for dealing with. And again, 16 of those are townships that I help with, assist with any way we can. And again, one of the big things with the township is the rural access infrastructure funding, which my department is responsible for overseeing, having oversight on, and running that program through the county. I believe we have 9 municipalities that are within the county. And again, at some point or another, been dealing with all 9 of them. Some of these are working on, if they have questions on access, if they have questions, and most of these municipalities have a county road that runs through them. So either runs through them or next to them. So we're always working with municipalities on that as well. And then also the surrounding counties. We have 3 or 4 counties next to us. Working on with them. You have to work on when projects happen. Hey, they got this project going. We're not going to do anything on this road, some type thing for detours and stuff like that. So, and then we also work with the Department of Transportation because we have many state roads that run through the county, and just collaborating with them when they have projects and what's going on with them as well. So Next part I wanted to bring up with you is the revenue funding. Not sure, I'm assuming, I would assume that you know, but the highway departments in the state of South Dakota they have their own special fund. And we get our own special funding through wheel tax, government license plate fees, motor vehicle license. We do have the STP swap money, motor fuel tax, motor home fees, prorated license fees, and then licensing and permits that we have. And all this money is specific to 201. So when you look at the budget, everything else in the county is going to be a 101, which is going to be general fund. The highway department has a special fund. We are listed as a 201 fund, 201 road and bridge. And again, these funds that are listed here, these are specific to road and bridge. Now, the monies that we get for this do not fund my budget fully. We're typically 40 to 50, maybe 55%, depending on if revenues are really high that year, and depending on what expenditures are. So, coming up the next few years, so in 2025 here, we just started our Safe Streets for All Comprehensive Safety Action Plan. This just kicked off in January. Basically, what this is going to do is this is developing a road safety plan for Lincoln County. This is something we do not have. We got a federal grant for this funding. Project costs are going to be about $125,000, and the grant amount that we got was $100,000. So this plan is we've had one SAP meeting already, or Strategic Advisory Committee meeting already. So I know we're lining up to get the second one going, but hopefully this planning will be done. Hopefully we'll be completed with this project in early in 2026. The basis behind this is going to be hopefully late 26. I'll have this plan will be complete and we'll be able to apply for other federal dollars for some safety plans or for some safety projects. We do have one that we're working on now, so hopefully we'll be able to apply in 26, and if we don't get it in 26, we'll apply again in 27. Master Transportation Plan. Again, this is, if you're not aware, we do have a Master Transportation Plan. This occurred in 2018-19. It was finalized in 2019. And it identifies road improvement projects needs within the county. And again, I know that Toby had brought up a little bit on the CIP. And I think if we look back in this plan, it laid out projects for us for short-term, mid-term, long-term projects. And when you look through the project list, there's well over $150 million worth of projects that could take place in Lincoln County. Now, that's a pretty big bite to take out of any budget to try to start this funding. But if you take some of those projects and take them out, some of them are township roads, which we don't have. And then there's quite a few projects that are either within or right next to a municipality. Again, those you can kind of minus out, but we're still probably well over $100 million in projects that they're saying we need improvements. And a lot of these are level of service issues. And again, this is mainly going to be in the northern part of the county. Level of service issues and capacity issues on roads up there. Basically what that means is it's taken them a long time to get through, whether it's a four-way stop, whether it's at a stoplight, whatever it is. It's slow getting through it. And then capacity issues is you just need more lanes. So, and then for project planning, I do have every year, the county, we do, the highway department, we put together a 5-year road and bridge improvement plan. And again, this lists all current projects, planned projects, and past projects in there. And again, it provides known and anticipated funding costs of what projects are going to be in there. And again, this is presented typically September, October. This plan is due back to the state by October 15th, I believe, of every year. And again, this is something that we have to do to get bridge improvement grant funding monies, which we've been pretty active in with the state through the BIG program. So challenges coming up, again, weather and extreme temps, not just on our equipment, but on roads. Roads and bridges, all this flooding takes its toll, especially bridges, any kind of drainage structures, it's taking its toll. Aging equipment, and again, I kind of touched on this briefly, but, we're working on getting older equipment replaced, just for the fact that some of the older equipment that we have, we can no longer get parts for. And again, I'm talking stuff that's probably pre-1990. So, another challenge we have is we have office space needs again. I think, we came to you guys last year to try to get some office space out at the highway shop. And again, and the only reason I bring that up is because we are currently, I guess I should have probably mentioned this for staffing, we are currently recruiting for a project engineer. Been recruiting for probably a year and a half, and it's a struggle to find somebody. So, to find somebody that's qualified to come in here and do it for us, so. And then another challenge is, of course, is rising costs, not just of road projects, but of equipment. Some of the equipment costs, I can go back 5, 6, 7 years ago, we'd buy a truck chassis for $112,000. And nowadays, they're up to about $170,000. And it's just, and the big jump came, of course, with any of this came with COVID, and the availability of some of that, so, projects, so to go over some of the projects we had, I'm gonna bring up, our 5-year plan. So this is our 5-year plan for 2025 through 2029. And again, we go through, I list everything out. All the projects are listed here. Again, this is posted on the website. And then we also have in here a project status list from projects from 2024. The top of that list, you'll see there's 4 bridges on there that were a part of the 2020 federal grant funding. 2 of those have been completed as of late last fall. And then the other one is 2 bridges that they're making into 1 bridge. And they are not finished with that one, so that one will probably be completed this year. Again, on that, we had 18% cost share on this. So we had preservation project moved to this year. Again, those 3 are going to go on this year. Last year, mill and overlay, we had 12 miles, 13 miles of mill and overlay that we had done. Again, that project was complete. That was up north. That was on County Road 110, County Road 117. We had a couple miles on there, and we had a couple miles on County Road 111. Microsurfacing, last year, we had probably about 13, 14 miles that we did. Again, this is all up north. County Road 106, County Road 110. We did Cliff Avenue, County Road 123, of course, so. Every year, so we have bridge inspections. We're required by federal law. We have to get our bridges inspected. So here 2 years ago, rather than having our all of our bridges, 150 of them done in the same year, we opted to go multiple years so we can break that cost down, over a 2-year span. So basically, we're splitting our bridges in half. We'll do about 70 1 year, the next year you do 80, then the third year you're doing the 70 again. So, and we broke them down according to paved roads and non-paved roads. One other project we did have last year, and again in the 5-year plan here, It's not listed on the 5-year plan, basically because when we put this plan together, it was probably September, August, September last year. And we were, if I go right here, County Road 134 on this item here, I know it's hard to see. If I can increase the size on that. This one right here. Over here where my cursor is. We had 7 miles of road that we were going to do full depth reclamation on, base stabilization, then we're going to pave it. And that was supposed to happen in 2024. We ended up moving that project to 2025 because we had structures on there that we wanted to replace, and we weren't getting our information back quick enough. We had changed structure size and types. So we ended up pushing that project off. So in 2024, we ended up doing 5 miles of full depth reclamation on the west side of west of Sioux Falls, north of T up there. Took and ground everything up. And when we do full depth reclamation, we bring in a contractor. If we have 6, 8, 10 inches of asphalt, they grind it all up. They grind up some of the base with it. Grind it up on the first pass, second pass, they come by and then they inject stabilizing agent in it, pack it out, reshape the road. And then the contractor comes in and we pave it, have it paved. So that's one plan, one thing on the plan that's a little different. Looking ahead to 2026, and again, this'll be information that we'll be bringing to you here this year for budget. The big thing we have is going to be the intersection project, 106 and 105 north of Lennox. We'll be applying for several PE grants through the big program. And then we'll be microsurfacing. Next year, we'll be doing County Road 152, which we reconstructed the surface on that back in '23. So we're going to do a microsurface on that 15.5 miles next year as well. So mill and overlay we have in '26. We're going to be doing County Road 124. It's up by Worthing and through Worthing, and then we're going to have some of 117 going south of Highway 18 that we're going to be doing as well. For '26, we're planning to do some, again, full depth reclamation on County Road 140. This is going to be the Fairview exit off the interstate going to the west down there. And again, we'll have bridge inspections as well. So typically, on a normal year, last year wasn't a normal year with the flood. We had a lot of time we spent getting all of our flood damage repaired last year. So we didn't have hardly any time to do any paving. And normally if we have spots, we're looking to do 10 to 12, 15,000 ton a year of ourselves that we'll pave. But I will, just an update on the flood stuff from 2024. All the FEMA sites have been repaired, and all of them, and I believe just yesterday, I think the last payment came in. So almost all the money is going to be paid back from FEMA from the 24 flood. I don't have those numbers. I'd have to add them up, see what it comes up to. The one other one is the ER. So FEMA covers anything that's not on a federal aid route. So all the other ones, all the other damage we had that was on a federal aid route is through the emergency relief through the state. And again, we haven't received any money back from them because they're not going to pay out until the feds send the money down to us, or send the money down to them, then they'll start paying us out. And we had 9 sites on ER, and as of right now, I have 7 of them that are complete. The other 2 sites, we have some mitigation we're going to do, and again, the one site is going to be the Lake Alvin Road up here by 135 where it topped over the road. We are looking at doing a structure there. We're going to help get mitigation money to do that. Again, so that's going to be in 2026 as well, coming forth. So we're going to be looking at replacing those pipe there to hopefully alleviate the overtopping issue of that road by the dam there. So with that, I believe that is all I have. Are there any other questions for me?
Last year, you talked about Highway 17 doing the Lennox Roundabout. Do you know where that's at?
As far as where we're at in the process with that, right now, we are in design, we're finalizing design on that. We're hoping to go to bid late this fall, get a fall bid, we're hoping, is if they can get everything to come together on that. So, and then it'd be a 2026 project.
And this is going to be a wider roundabout, correct, for the trucks that travel that road?
Yeah, and when we, so when we get to that point where we're getting ready to bid this, I will have some overviews of what this looks like. So it's going to be kind of similar to the one that's up on Louise and 106, just south of Sioux Falls there. It might be slightly bigger, but the one thing this one is going to have is for the northbound traffic, we're going to have a designated right turn lane, and that's going to be separate from the circle. And then we're going to have a blend lane on the Klondike Road going to the east, so that traffic can blend in to the with the normal traffic there. And another thing, like I said, we're working on design, and once I get some overviews, they'll have some plans we can show you what it's going to look like. So.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Terry, we've always had a very good road grid throughout the county. Our roads have been way above, I think if you travel, and this is nothing to say from Turner County or Union County, but I've always been proud of what we have. Are we able to maintain that quality like we've had?
That's a very good question. When we had the master transportation plan done, we had a group come in, and they ran over all of our roads, all of our paved roads. And this was, they ended up doing it spring of 19. So, and it was right before, was it right before the flood? I think it was right before one of the floods we had in 19. And that was a horrible year for frost. And they went out, and we had all kinds of breakup for frost boils all over the roads. And they went out and they went and tested our roads and looked at our roads, and then they got us a PCI. We got all the information, and we come back at like a 72 or 73 for a PCI, pavement index condition. And I was kind of surprised because I know I'd looked at Minnehaha County. They do this probably every 3 years, so you can get a baseline for what you're doing. And I think they were like a 76, 77, something like that at that time. And I'm like, wow, we're at 73, and we have all these bad spots, blow-ups in our paved roads, and that's pretty dang good. Wonder what happened if we didn't have that, But one of the things that came out of the master plan as well is devising a plan of doing the preservation on these asphalt roads. And what happened in 19 budget years, 20, right in there, we ended up cutting a lot of funding, and I know at that time it was a lot about cuts. And so one of the things that we haven't been doing on a schedule like we should be, and that's resealing or resealing a road, right? So typically you should do that every 5 years. And basically the only thing we've been able to crack or chip seal since that is just the new asphalt that we've had. So any new pavement we have, we're gonna cover that up and preserve that asphalt, that surface, so it doesn't dry out. And, but I've been trying to weed back in, we've been doing some micro surfacing on some of these because, I just think the chip seal, it has its place. But once we get into higher traffic areas, like Sioux Falls area, north of Harrisburg T area, I just don't think a chip seal will hold up as well as a micro with the amount of traffic. So are we doing as much as we can? Probably not. Because I think at the time in 19 when we had this master plan, it came out there that we needed to spend like $3 million a year just on preservation on our asphalt roads. And are we doing that? Probably not, you know? So, I don't know, I mean, we could do better, but we're working with what we got for budgetary, you know, constraints. So, and I think we're doing a pretty decent job. You know, I think most of them are holding up well. We're trying to get out, you know, we're doing the little things that we can do in-house, you know, crack sealing, mastic sealing on them, filling joints, stuff like that, to try to keep that water out of the cracks, you know, to help preserve them better, so.
Other questions for Terry? All right, thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
Any public input on this agenda item? All right, if not, we'll move on to our opportunity for public comment for items not on the agenda. If anyone wants to come up, now would be the time to do so. All right, if not, do we have any commissioner reports?
Madam Chair?
Yep, go ahead.
I received this from Lutheran Social Services, and it's, I want to read a letter, and David, thank you for being down here, because this pertains to you. And it said, Mr. Schmidt, I want to take a moment to recognize and thank you for supporting a workplace that encourages community involvement. One of your employees, David Dixon, is making a meaningful difference by mentoring through LSS this year. Each week, he dedicates his time to positively shaping the future of the student in the Sioux Empire or in that school district. And research consistently shows that mentors have a powerful impact on young people, helping them make responsible choices, engage in school, and reduce or avoid risky behavior. In fact, youth mentors are 58% are more likely to feel supported by their well-being, 22% more likely to have experienced a strong sense of belonging while growing up, and 85% are more prone to feeling confident in their ability to tackle that, and that is due to mentoring. With more than 1,000 LSS mentors, we know that business like yours plays a very key part in making this possible. We truly appreciate your employees' commitment and hope you will help us expand this impact even further. Right now, more than 200 students are waiting for a mentor. So David, I want to congratulate you for taking the time, because I've been a mentor for many, many times, and I know it makes a difference. And that young man or woman that you are mentoring, I'd like to have you state who that is and what your experience has been. But I can, really makes a difference. So Dave, do you want to tell us who you're mentoring and just a little bit about that experience, please?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Now, I don't believe I'm supposed to divulge full names or anything like that, but I am currently mentoring a second grade boy here at Lawrence Elementary School in Canton. And then also a senior that recently moved from Canton, now I believe attends Washington High School in Sioux Falls. So that's a little bit more of a remote situation, but I was trying to think of how long I've been doing it now. I think it's probably been 7 years or so. And I've been with this high school senior since he was in elementary school down here. So it's just been a really rewarding thing for me to be able to do that. I think I've mentored, I think just 3 kids. I've been able to stick with them throughout the years. And all that it's required of the county is that I'm able to adjust my lunch schedule a little bit. It just includes a weekly lunch with these kids, and you know, they're fantastic kids, and I love being able to spend time with them, and you know, definitely want to encourage any of the other county employees listening to look into it, because it is a very rewarding thing, and I appreciate the county, you know, being willing to work with my schedule a little bit so that I can participate in it.
Okay. Well, thank you, David, for giving us a good example of what mentoring can do. It does make a difference, and for anybody in the crowd here that wants to have a meaningful experience with a young person, mentoring is made a tremendous difference. And I know throughout the school systems in Harrisburg and T and Sioux Falls, anywhere, they're looking for individuals. And you know, it doesn't really take a lot of time. You just got to care about somebody. And many times these kids need somebody that they can talk to. That isn't, or they have poor parenting, or they have a lot of issues. But it makes quite a difference in a young person's life. So, David, on behalf of those kids, thank you for what you do.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioner reports?
Madam Chair,
Yep, go ahead.
not that, I know that people get a little bit nervous over this. We just attended, our auditor and myself just got back from NACO convention in Washington DC, where we spent 4 days attending meetings. I'm on meetings upon meetings. And I just wanted to tell you the areas that we concentrated on, or at least I did. We concentrated on the Farm Bill and what that means to our agricultural area. In that Farm Bill, we talked a lot about immigration and how that was vital for key industries that we have right here is dairy, but also to many other occupations that rely on immigrant population for their workforce. We spent a lot of time talking about other issues. The diversity issue was a huge one because that was concerning many different counties of larger extraction. We spent time talking about tariffs, what that meant to our overall farm economy, but overall our economy in general. I will tell you this, that we did have the first signs in a long time of a more partisan attitude, of which I think the chair of the NACO addressed that county government is not necessarily partisan. We deal with nuts and bolts. We deal with roads, bridges. We deal with public safety, incarceration, and all of that kind of stuff. So all in all, I think that it was a very a time well spent. I know this was our auditor's first time to be on a NACO board. We did have some time to attend a reception at the Canadian Embassy, and it was interesting to hear from their vantage point what American relations was all about. And we hope that that doesn't fray too much more than what it already has. So anyway, it was a good convention. And we have sponsored, just for the public record, we have sponsored every year, we have put in our budget that a commissioner can attend a NACO convention because they are a wealth of information that is available. So we hope that you guys take advantage of that at some time. So thank you, Madam Chair.
And thank you, Commissioner Schmidt. Any other commissioner reports?
Madam Chair?
Yep.
Um,
I'm
there's-
gonna stop you for just a second. I'm gonna hand the chair over to Commissioner Schmidt. I have a court hearing that starts here in a couple minutes
Okay.
that I need to go to. So it's all yours. So
I just want to remind everybody that there's a rescheduled planning and zoning meeting here tonight at 6:30. And that last week, there were, the township meetings across the county were held last Tuesday night, March 4th at 7 PM during the snowstorm. And Perry Township was very well represented. So I just wanted to let you know that as well.
Any other things from any other commissioners? Doug? Okay. With that, we'll have no executive sessions, okay? I'll make one comment before we go. I think that the bill, governor's bill on tax reform for owner-occupied, either has been passed or is on a vote. We will probably be spending some time explaining to you, the public, on what that means for Lincoln County. I will tell you this, that of all the measures, of all the counties that are going to be affected by this measure, Lincoln County will probably be the most affected of all of the counties in our state. You wait and reserve on that one. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
I second.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Will you, Auditor, call the roll, please, on that one?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Otten?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Putnam?
Yes.
We are now.